Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host Bryan. We're going to wrap up today with a creator request, which is where a smaller artist gets in contact with me and asks me to check out their work. We're going to be looking at George Marius today, and the track is called Your Heart. George reached out to me and self-described his work as anthemic rock, with a dash of alternative rock and progressive rock. So let's dive into Your Heart and see what George is bringing to the table for us today. Nice 5 here.
Just blown it all away.
A tinge of darkness in that final chord.
So big and all consuming. Maybe it's too early for anyone to tell. But God help me from all the things I tell myself.
Yeah, a little bit of grit pulling us in. Really nice texture to the transition. Yeah, dude.
But I can't get
great bass work right here.
The version of me that would
very open.
And see things through.
Yeah, I didn't want to miss the harmony there. Nice open atmosphere, but none of the instruments feel weak through it. Very fun accent patterns on the drums. Very fun. We have both a 3-2 and a 2-3 accent pattern at the end of that chorus.
Out the door, I can't ignore the pain that ails me, but I can't
the little staccato guitar stuff. With harmonies too.
Tread a little lighter and enjoy the stillness for a minute. Right under sunlit open plains and find the child.
Oh, are we working like 2.5 beat phrases there?
No, I need to
splitting that 5 right down the middle in that verse. Also, I like how the second verse was musically different from the first. Yeah, well done on the solo. Was that arpeggiated movement in the back? Yeah, phenomenal work right there. That is definitely an artist who needs more fans. I'm not sure what their Spotify numbers are right now, but only 3,000 subscribers on YouTube is a crime for how good that is. Um, I was also mistaken. Let me get this out of the way. I had mentioned the first time through the chorus that the end of it saw not alternating, but simultaneous patterns between groupings of the 5 beats into 3 and 2 and 2 and 3. That's actually incorrect. And I noticed this on the second and confirmed it on the third choruses. We're actually pre-introducing that completely symmetrical 5 beat phrasing that we saw in the second verse. So that's let's start there. Time signature. This entire song, I believe, is in 5/4. Now, usually when it comes to time signatures, we can split things up evenly. You got your 4s, you got your 8s, even 6. If you have 6 beats per phrase of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you have a consistent pulse. But when you bring in odd time signatures like this 5, well, you have the cleanest down the center you can split it is 3 and 2. One way you're going to feel like you're rushing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, and you're lurching into that second or the third one. You really expect that third beat and you're not getting it. You're being thrust into the next one. The other is to feel like we're dragging it out. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And it feels like that second grouping, the last half of the bar, is stretched out. And it can feel like you're being suspended in that moment. You're ready for the next bar. It isn't coming quite yet. And most of this is in the former. We have groups of 3 and then groups of 2. So it feels like the back half of the bars rush a little bit. And it's what creates that feeling of tripping or missing a step that we get at the very beginning of the song. The rhythm and opening riff really leans into this feeling of a missing beat. But in the last quarter-ish of the chorus, and what we eventually also saw in the second verse, is a perfect split down the middle. 2.5 beats per idea. Now this creates a feeling of constant lurching because you're going to go 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 1, and it just, you have to really it feels like you're constantly being thrust into that next step. You're tripping over and over and over. Shifting on half beats is kind of an odd feeling. Bringing 1 back in when you haven't really finished the 2 yet. It's an interesting feeling. And if you did it on a larger scale, I don't think it's as jarring. But when you're doing it every 2 beats, it creates this feeling of the constant lurch, constantly feeling like you're out of place, you're constantly stumbling, you can't quite get your balance. It's a feeling of getting knocked down over and over and over and over. It's a really interesting idea. I would love to see the lyrics possibly tap into this direction, possibly. But at the very least, it does align with the lurching feeling of the 3 and the 2. It's just exacerbating it. Rather than having that lurch at the end of every bar, you get it twice per bar. It creates a very jarring moment, and it's wild. And you don't see too many artists go for it. You know, 5/4 is not completely uncommon. I don't think it's as common as 4/4 or 3/4 or 6/8. But 5/4, it's not, you know, it's not like 13/8 or 27/26 or something like that. It's 26. No, 27/32. That would be one that would be hard. 26 on the bottom would be bonkers. yeah, it's not super uncommon, but it is a little unusual. And then to take that and then just push it into this realm of just chopping it right down the middle. I mean, I'm trying to think of all of the wild prog tracks we've heard. You know, Dream Theater, Rush, uh, Frost. Who are some of the other big ones? Opeth. I can't think of any song that I've heard that goes for a symmetrical division in an odd time signature. It's just it's just not something that people do. But here I feel like it really works. It really creates this feeling of tension within the song. Speaking about tension, I love the harmonic qualities in this track. The chorus is, of course, pretty large and triumphant. There's definitely that anthemic rock element to it. We have the projected vocals, very powerful there. We have the synergy between all the instrumentation. The bass and the guitars are all working together to create these nice chords, and we can bring this progression through. We have a little bit of guitar work going on there. We have the vocal melody. The drums lighten up a little bit, give us something a bit more straightforward. The anthemic rock sound really shines through in the chorus here. And this is, like I said, it's kind of big and powerful. It's interesting that it trips up at the end with this rhythmic shift, but again, something I'm hoping to see in the lyrics. But this is contrasted pretty heavily from everything else. There are emotional uplifts in the verses, but they're that. It's not the core element. There's usually some sort of darkness, some tension, a little bit of sorrow tossed in. What's the word I want? It's ambiguous even at times, where you're not quite sure how to feel about it. Almost as if there's emotional uncertainty baked into the music. It's a bit more emotionally dexterous, I will say, across the verses. And we seem to get a lot of different emotions back to back across our chord progressions. What's really cool here is that we can look at how the instruments are layered across the verse and the chorus and actually see this lining up with the harmonies. Where the verse is a bit more uncertain about things, all of the instruments are isolated, playing off of each other, sure. I mean, looking at that second verse, the bass comes in, lays down a pretty sick lick, and then at the end of it, as a punctuating idea, we get the guitars surrounding it, filling in the blanks of the bass. I thought that was a very cool idea. They are certainly cooperating and creating something larger than the sum of their parts, but they're not unified. It's distinct layers that happen to work well together. But when we get to the chorus, the big, powerful, positive section, the entire band works together. They play the same rhythms, the same chords at the same time. It creates this feeling of unity and strength through that unity. Many coming together as one. And so you can feel how the emotional shift, especially going into that second verse, is not just brought about through the chordal elements there, which certainly introduce these feelings, but also how the music kind of crumbles apart underneath it. Where the chorus is this big section, fills up all this space, there's a lot of emptiness in the verse. The instruments aren't working together to amplify their sound. They are only as strong as they are individually. They can still form together and create something more complex, but they're not growing in size from that cohesion anymore. And I find that to be a really great way of lining up roles and layering alongside harmonic ideas and emotional storytelling to create something that's quite evocative on multiple levels of the music. Speaking about all these multiple ideas in the verses, I love the verses. The first one was already pretty solid. We had some cool guitar ideas, doing their own thing here. One was more chordal. I think it was the right side, and the other side was a bit more lick based. And then we have the bass doing their thing, the drums just kind of going off on this very cool, like melodic drumming style. The vocals are doing their thing. It's just very complex and intertwined. Then we get to the second verse. Same idea. We still have a bass kind of doing its own thing. We have the two guitars doing their own things. We have the vocals and we have the more melodic drumming, but it's all different. In fact, we kick it off with a bass-led idea. The sound and the licks that the guitars come in on are totally different than their riffs from verse 1. I love this. First of all, the sections themselves just sound great. I love all of the interconnected parts. I love the atmosphere, the shifting emotion here, kind of bringing all of this semi-negative element together, the ambiguousness of it, the uncertainty, the bits of sorrow, the stress or anxiety in some of those tenser chords. Like, just from that perspective, really well done. But then just like all the interlocking parts and the fact that verse 2 is a different part of verse 1 while still quite being connected. You can tell how these are both variations on the same idea. They come from the same blueprint. They're just two different parts. And this is just phenomenal. I've always been a big fan of, if you're going to play the same thing for me, change it up a little bit. And while verses, I don't usually care as much because usually there's going to be some sort of vocal shifts, or the lyrics are usually different between verses. So there is some contrast there. I love how this pops up in the final chorus as well. We have some musical changes going on there. There's that one run up that I think was arpeggiation, I think. But still a new riff added to the chorus. That surprised me. The vocals went off and went higher and more bombastic on that final chorus than any of the other ones did. So yeah, I'm just a huge fan of all the ways that there continues to be variations on repeated ideas, bringing back the concept, the heart of it, but expanding on it every time that we come back to it. Love that. I guess the last thing to touch on then is the guitar solo, which I thought was rather tasteful. There's definitely a bit of shred in there, but I feel like it tells a story. It moves through a couple of emotions. The chord progression helps with that, but the note choices in the solo itself aid in this as well. It starts off a bit uncertain. There's some darkness. There's some shred that ends up pulling into something a bit brighter, and we get some longer held out notes towards the end of it. And then it really runs with this positivity and goes for something that pushes into the realm of powerful, of taking this newfound, I don't know what you would call it, self-image or reassurance or something like that, and says, well, this works now, let's push through. And it really takes that energy and ramps it up, which takes us into the chorus, which of course is already powerful and triumphant and positive, feeling like a light in the darkness that exists in the verses. And so to feel the guitar solo not just be a solid solo in and of itself, but also direct the song into the chorus for a really solid transition there. Yeah, dude, excellent. Honestly, I don't have anything bad to say about this. It is a really good midpoint between approachable, anthemic alternative rock, something that I think you could definitely hear played on a radio station, but also bringing in some more progressive elements, the complex verses, the 5/4, the interesting rhythmic elements going on here. It definitely captures that middle point excellently, and while being a very different style of music, reminds me of Tool's ability to balance the the more mainstream side of rock with their more progressive tendencies. And I hear some of that balancing act going on in this song as well. I'm going to check out some lyrics here, and we're going to wrap this one up. Okay, yeah, dude, there's definitely some synergy between my reads of the music and what shows up in the lyrics. It's about somebody who feels like they've made some mistakes, or maybe a mistake. It doesn't really say. The opening stanza says, "Have I just blown it all away? A flame so big and all-consuming. Maybe it's too early for anyone to tell, but God help me from the things I tell." myself. I really like that turn, saying that, what would people say about this? Well, you know, you don't even know what I'm saying about this to myself. Talking about, your inner voice, but bringing that wordplay back around. But yeah, so they've definitely ruined something rather large. And the first verse is all about feeling down on oneself and trying to get out of this funk. It says, I'm trying to come in, but I can't get to the version of me that would rather fight. He says there's distractions. They take me places, but not where I need to be. The second verse kind of brings in a little bit more of this and talks about trying to push through. It says, I can't ignore the pain that ails me, but I can't ignore the rain and walk a little more, hoping that I'll end up in some quiet place. It says, I need to tread a little lighter and enjoy the stillness for a moment, ride on the sunlit open plains. So it's definitely about, I'm in a bad place right now. I think I just really, messed up my life. There's definitely a big disaster recently, but I've got to make a step towards a positive future. I can't dwell in this. And this is where the chorus kicks in. It says, let go of fear and it will get clearer. Forget the stories that you tell yourself at night and trust in you trusting what is sheltered in the center of your heart. Dude, I love that line. Trust in trusting your heart. It sounds like it's too verbose. Like you can just say, dude, trust your heart. But I think that this implies something a little more in that. Some people might have troubles trusting their heart. But this says just trust that process. Trust the trusting. And I love that. But yeah, it's about getting to the core of who you are and becoming one with your emotions. Don't hide it. As it says, it's the part that's sheltered in the center of your heart. Get to know it. Figure out what it wants. Be better by embracing that side of you. And tomorrow will be brighter because of it. And I think this song does a great job of creating this tense darkness in places and then bursting through those dark clouds with the bright sun. And it's just very well put together. Yeah, I dig all of this. Like I said earlier, I don't really have any issues with it. I don't have any points to say, dude, this could have been a little better. Like, this is just a solid track. And I think that even right here, this version, these lyrics, this writing, this production, all it needs is exposure. I could easily see this on radio stations. So, yeah, phenomenal. I will definitely be keeping an eye on this dude. Those are my thoughts. George's Your Heart. Let me know what you thought of this, if there's anything that stood out to you, anything that you'd like to add on to what I said or correct me on. If you have a different interpretation, anything you'd like to add to the conversation, your own thoughts on this, put all of that into the comment section. Above that, in the description box, as usual with creator requests, there will be links for the artist if you want to go find anything I can find about them, link trees and social media, YouTube pages, Spotify pages, anything that'll help you get to more of this artist and to help support them in the ways that you might want to if you were a fan of this track. There's also my stuff in there as well. There's my link tree, stuff like that. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. And if you head on over to any of George's pages, make sure that you do the same. Hearts, thumbs up, whatever is the metric on whatever social media you land on. Show him some love from the Critical Reaction community. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.